Your story isn't calm. The road has been chaotic at times, filled with detours and rain and loss, so sudden and soon. Sometimes the bliss was so elevated your heart could hardly hold it. Sometimes it was maddening to have and then to lose. You learned soon enough that it hardly ever goes as planned. Gentle, easy, and smooth. But that, my friend, is what makes you fascinating. You have something to tell, something you've walked through, something wild, something courageous, something true. You're made of stories, within even more stories, those quiet depths of you. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Epoxy Me That. How are you? I hope doing okay. And I want to thank you for showing up today. Today is a Friday. And I wanted to go ahead and do this video because there are some things that I'd like to talk about, and maybe it will help someone else out using this crushed glass diamond dust. I know there are, I've used this a lot of different ways here lately, and I don't think I was explaining it very well in the different ways that I was using it. So we're going to go over that today, and hopefully it will help someone out along the way, or at least I'm hoping that's what this video will do. Because the last thing I want to happen is someone to try to do something that I showed them how to do, and then they're failing at it but can't figure out why. Okay, so I'm hoping this video will help you out. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to create a jewelry set. Actually, two jewelry sets. Now, you can do this with any mold that you would like. These are just the molds that I picked because we can do these with UV resin or 2-part epoxy. So, I already have some that you can see down here that are casted already. This is the bear, and then I have 2 of the turtles. But we're only going to be making our inlays with these. I pulled some out of some old buckets that I had some of my pieces in so that we could go ahead and put our crushed glass on these and make our inlays. And that way we'd move a little bit further. We're also going to try to make an inlay using UV resin, okay? Because I want you to see what happens doing it that way too. All right, we're going to go ahead and try something that one of my subscribers suggested in the comment section. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it to see if it will. When I was making the inlays for that ornament in my last video, they were really thin. And one of my subscribers said, could you push that down into clay and make it thicker so where your inlay would be thicker? So we're going to try to do that using Let's Resin silicone putty. So I'm going to do the turtle here, and that way we can see if it'll work. This is just some plexiglass here that we're going to put the putty down on. It says to weigh the putty out. So I'm going to cut my scales on, and I'm going to get about just a little, I guess that would be enough when we put 2 of them together. It should be. Okay, so that's 21. I'm going to clean my scale off right quick because I don't want that stuff activating while we're trying to get the amount right. And now let's get just a little ball out of the white. That's 22, 23, so I'm going to take a little bit off. 22, 21. Okay. So that's 21. $22. Okay. Okay, now it's reading 22. All right, so we've got 22 of each of these. Working time is 3 minutes, and curing time is 15 to 20 minutes. So we're blending these two together to make one color. Okay, I hope we have enough. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push it out just a little. Kind of like that. Then we're going to place our turtle on there. And I'm going to push him down. And I'm going to build up these edges around him just by pushing it in. Because that's what we're looking for, something we can pour the silicone in to get a thicker inlay. Okay, I'm going to leave that be for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and see what we got. Now, we're going to take the bear, and we're going to put some UV resin in it, cure it up, and then we'll mix our silicone up, and we'll pour our silicone on all our pieces and see what happens. Okay, I'm using the Bond Crafter UV resin. It's the hard type. Okay, I'm going to take my lighter here and I'm just going to run it right over the top of the mold there really fast. Okay, let's take it out. And there's our bear made of UV resin. Okay, I'm going to put a paper towel down, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take some UV resin, and I'm going to take a little piece of my clay here. It's just cheap clay, modeling clay. And I'm just going to poke it right there in that hole. And that'll keep our UV resin from seeping to the other side. Then we're going to get our crushed glass out. And get me a spoon in it. Get a little spoon for it. Now, my suggestion would be, if you're going to use, or if you want this crushed glass look, my suggestion would be to make an inlay, a silicone inlay, for your piece. So that way, you don't deal with the spikiness of the glass. But if you want to lay the glass down instead of making an inlay, then you're going to have to go the extra mile to make sure that the resin does not go over the crushed glass, but it's not, you don't put too much or you don't put too little. So I'm going to try to walk you through that or explain that to you right here. So what we're going to do is, let me get you down a little bit further. We're going to go ahead and put this resin on top of our bear. Take the crushed glass and we're going to sprinkle it on top of the bear. Now I'm going to take this silicone brush here that has a flat surface. See that? And I'm going to pat the glass down into my piece. I don't want to completely cover the glass, but I don't want the glass to be spiky either. And you're not going to get a real, you're not going to get that sparkly glass look that you would get had you done the inlay, because we are having to pat this down into the resin to keep it from cutting someone. So you're going to get a little bit of the glass, crushed glass effect, but you're not going to get it 100% like you would if you made an inlay. So that's why I said, I suggest that if you want the crushed glass look, you make an inlay for your piece. Like if you do a lot of jewelry, because this would be beautiful with some jewelry, just make several inlays for your jewelry pieces. That way you have enough and you can make them in bigger quantities. And you might want to do a certain design on an earring and see if it sells. See if it, see if it's a big hit before you start making a bunch of different ones. Okay, I think we look good. I'm also getting down level with my piece here and making sure I don't see any crushed glass that is poking out. This really takes the extra effort versus just making the inlays and getting the whole glass look from the inlay versus half of it, doing it this way. Okay, I'm going to run my lighter over it a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and cure it up. And I'll meet you back. Okay, it's finished on that side. So we're going to go ahead and flip it over and cure it on that side as well. Okay, our pieces should be fully cured now. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this right here and I'm going to fold it up and pour the excess back into my container. So that way I'm not wasting any. This stuff isn't all that cheap, and you only get a 6-ounce container of it for, I believe, $10 to $12, something like that. But this stuff is beautiful. I mean, it is stunning. So this is what we got. And if you can see through this area right here, it just looks real mellow looking. It's not as crystal looking as this up here. See, because you just can't capture all of the crystals this way, because we need to make sure it's not going to cut anyone. It needs to be smooth And this is very smooth to the touch. I don't feel any spikiness in this. None whatsoever. It is totally smooth. But doing that, we're going to lose a little bit of the crystal look, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to set that right there because we're going to pour silicone over this UV resin bare to see the outcome. Now we're going to take our 1 hour Promise Fast Cure Epoxy, and we're going to put part A in this cup and part B in this cup and mix it up, and then I'll meet you back. Would y'all like to see what's on the other side of these two? I made a Christmas set with this turtle, and it didn't turn out, so I made another one that's just like this, and I kept it. It's a necklace and earring set for Christmas. And then I did this one as a set too, but I didn't like how it turned out, so it ended up in my little box. My little castings box that just didn't make the cut. Okay, here's our 1 hour Promise Epoxy. So now what we're going to do is, I put another little mat underneath here just in case it leaks off. We're going to put this 1 hour epoxy on the turtle and the bear, and then put our crushed glass down and let that cure, and then we're going to mix up some silicone and put our silicone over all of our pieces that we made to see what turns out and what doesn't. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and put this 1 hour Promise Epoxy on our pieces. Now we're going to take our crushed crystal and we're going to sprinkle it on our piece. Making sure we get everything on that turtle. I mean, I'm even putting extra down there. We want it to soak it up, and any excess we can dump over after it cures. We can dump it off and put it back in our container. So you want to make sure you get plenty on there. Let that resin soak all the glass up, and make sure you, if you need to put more on there, then go ahead and put some more. But you shouldn't have to if you pack it full like I'm doing. As this is ready in 15 to 20 minutes, it's been setting now for 30. So we're going to go ahead and pick it up and pull our turtle out. And that's the little mold that we got. So now we're going to put our Promise Epoxy in there. Wait a minute. Am I doing that right? Yeah. Now, I'm not going to pour much of this because we want to be able to make our inlay a little bit thicker. That was the whole reason for doing it this way. So, I'm going to move that epoxy around. Make sure we get every place in there. And now I'm going to get the crushed glass. And we're going to pour it in there. Okay, and I'm going to leave all that excess on there because the resin is going to soak up some of it. And we definitely want some to be on there that can catch, the inlay can catch. And be very careful. You are working with glass. You are definitely working with glass. These are very sharp shards. So please be careful. All right, we're going to let this go ahead and cure up, and then I'll meet you back and we'll whip up some silicone and make our inlays. See you later. And now I'm going to move all of this out of the way for a minute. And we're going to get some of this plastic wrap right here. I'm just going to pull a piece out about that much. And then I'm just going to slide this button right across and cut it. And there we go. We're going to place our pieces down on that plastic wrap. So if we have any spillage, which we will, of the silicone, then it will go on this plastic paper. Okay, since this video is not about mixing silicone, I'm just going to take my Let's Resin 15A, part A and B. I'm going to mix up a little bit, and then we're going to pour it over our pieces here. So I will be right back. I got my silicone ready. I did color it. I tinted it with a little bit of blue mica. Looks like there's something in it. What is that? I don't know what that was. It's floating on the top. Oh, I bet I know what that is. It's okay. It's silicone that was at the bottom of the cup. Because I use this cup all the time to make, to stir silicone. So that's what it was. Yeah. So it won't bother our silicone. But you can only mix up 30 grams is the least amount of Let's Resin 15A silicone rubber that you can mix up at one time. So I had to mix this amount up. We're going to go ahead and I have something I'm going to use the rest of this in though. We're going to go ahead and dip this off onto each piece here. And I'm going to put you on a time lapse while I do that. But I'm going to show you just how I'm going to do it so you can get a general idea. Let's see here. Let me move this around so you can see really good. We'll do this turtle together. And then I'll put you on a time lapse for everything else. I'm just dropping this silicone right over my turtle, right where we put the crushed glass at. And don't worry if it goes over the turtle, that's okay. But what I do is, while the silicone is still curing, I'll take my little, really what I do is I get one of these. And I'll take the paper and scrape the silicone off of the paper and put it right back on top until it gets to a state where it won't let me do it anymore, if that makes sense. And it makes you a thicker inlay on the top. Believe it or not, it does. It actually helps. It's just time consuming. But you don't have to do that. It's just something that I like to do. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pour the silicone in this one and see what we get. I don't know what will happen. I've never poured silicone in this putty before. So we're about to find out what's going to happen. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put the silicone on these two pieces and I'll meet you back. Okay, just for funsies, I have this heart right here, and I put a little bit of clay in there to close that hole up right there. And we're going to scoop some of this crushed glass on the top of that heart. I'm not putting any binder in between the two. Nothing to hold the glass on the heart. Okay? Now I'm going to take this tool right here, the end of this silicone stick, and I'm going to move the glass out to where it covers the whole heart. And we're just doing this for funsies. I don't know what's going to happen. Now I'm going to take the silicone and I'm going to start from the edges right here and just dip it over the heart. And let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to dip a little bit more over each piece, and that's going to give me a little bit of silicone to play with on my sheet right there that I can pick up and drop back on my pieces. And then I'm going to take the rest of it and use it for something. All right, I'll meet you back when it's fully cured. Okay, I had to quit scooping it up off of the table, off my mat here, and putting it onto my piece because now it's getting thick. See there? It's getting really thick. So we can't scoop it up off of the table anymore and add it to our piece. Okay, we're gonna take some resin here. I've got it mixed up right here. The Bondcraft epoxy resin. I'm going to use my octopus ink and Smurf. And we're just going to tint the resin just a tad. Not much. Try to put in a little bit of this metallic gold rush. Just one, maybe 2 drops. Yeah. I don't know. What do y'all think about 3? 3 drops, maybe? Yeah, let's do 1 more drop. And you can find these octopus inks at Laura's Art Corner. And you can use my discount and save you 10% while you're shopping, if you would like to. I don't know about you, but I like saving money. Okay. I'm going to let these sit and rest for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to pour them in here. I'm going to let this cure for about an hour, and then I'm going to put it in my Resinartist G3 curing machine. And the reason I'm going to let it cure for an hour before I put it in there is to give all the bubbles a chance to come and rise to the top before I put it in the curing machine. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. In an hour, I'm going to spritz it again, or check it for bubbles. If I don't see any, then I'm going to go ahead and put it in my G3 Resinartist curing machine. So I'll see you later. Let's put some of these blue flakes in the turtle. I'm going to put some of this gold right here in the bear. Okay, here they are. I put the little bitty flakes in them, the blue and the gold. So now we're going to let them cure, and I'll meet you back. Now we're going to remove our inlays. Okay, this is the one that we placed the crushed glass down on the bare. There was no binder in between the silicone and the resin heart. Just the crushed glass. So, I've never done this before. I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, that's not a good idea. Yep, not a good idea. But if I didn't try it, someone out there might not know. I didn't even know what it was going to do. It was just a crazy thought that I had. And if I had that thought, then I know somebody else did too. So, that is a no-go. You cannot do it like that. Okay. Next, we tried making this out of the Let's Resin putty. The silicone putty. And then we let that cure, and we poured resin in the turtle. We let that cure, and then we put the crushed glass in over the resin. Isn't that what we did? I think that's what we did. Okay, so no, we put the turtle in there first and made this. Then we took the turtle out and we poured a little bit of resin in there, and then put the glass over the top of it. That's what we did. All right, so we're going to take the inlay off. So that worked. It gave us a deeper inlay. That's what we were after. A deeper inlay, doing it this way. And we did get a very nice inlay. It's not going to tear on us. It will not be real thin like these will. Now this one was made with UV resin. So let's take our inlay off. Oh no! The inlay is just a mess. Look at that. You know why? You cannot put silicone on UV resin. It will not work. I knew that, but I wanted to show you all the same. I needed you to see it. Do you see that? It's just a mess. Gloopy mess. Okay, so we'll set that to the side. Let me clean my hands off right quick. Now these were done just on regular resin castings. They need to be trimmed a little bit on the edges. We didn't put enough crushed glass on that. It doesn't look like. Well, maybe we did. It just, I don't know. It looks funny. I don't know why. Maybe we didn't put enough crushed glass on it. I don't know. That's odd. We're still going to use it. We're going to, me show you what we're going to do, because I think it's still going to work. We're just going to trim off this excess off of the edges. I mean, it's an inlay. It's a crushed glass inlay. It is. You could use it. You definitely could. But I think I'm going to use this one instead. Then we have the bear. And it was done the same way the turtle was. Okay. There's our bear. It came out a little bit better, didn't it? And we'll just trim it a little bit where it went over at, so it'll lay down on our bear perfectly. Let's try something else right quick. I mixed up some more silicone because I made a few molds. We're going to take this heart right here, and I'm going to put it right there. And we're going to take this silicone, and we're going to put some over it, over the heart. Just like that. Now I'm going to take this crushed crystal. Let's go ahead and move this out to the edge, so we'll get a full, get it all over the heart. Okay. Now I'm going to take the crushed crystal and we're going to sprinkle it over the inlay. And I put a whole bunch of extra on there. Now we're going to let that cure up, and let's see what happens that way too. Okay, this heart right here is finished, so I'm going to pull it up, shake off that excess glass. I'm being very careful not to cut myself though. All right. It's got a lot of prickly pieces on it. I'm going to set it right there a minute. Okay, and I'm going to tell you, if you have little feet in your craft room, be very careful using this crushed glass, because it gets everywhere. It would probably be wise to tape off your whole area with some plastic wrap or something the whole time you're using it. I don't have little feet in my craft room, or I would have definitely done that. Although I wish I had little feet in my craft room. But sadly, I don't. Okay. Let's see how this turned out. This was such a crazy idea. I cannot believe I did this. I don't think it's going to come off of there. Oh, yes, it is. Well, it worked. It did. It did work. I don't recommend doing it that way, though. I just did that for fun. Maybe someone was wondering about it. I wouldn't recommend it. But you can do it. I'm going to keep that. We'll have to use it in something and see how it turns out. Okay, I cleaned my heart off because actually I'm going to use this as a keychain for me. I just haven't finished it yet. It turned out so beautiful. Okay, we're going to have to cut some of this bear down because you see how it's curled up from where it was folding over the casting. Let me show you. See, that silicone took the form when it dripped over the edges and it cuffed around each one, making a lip on our piece here. So now, if we was to place that down here, it's not going to lay flat, and we need it to lay flat. So we're going to have to trim it down a little. Okay, I basically went around and just gave my inlay a little haircut. So now we don't have that lip around it. And this one that we made from this, we don't have to worry about it because it's not like that. Okay, I ran my 1 hour Promise Epoxy through my Resiner's airless pro bubble remover machine, and it worked. I didn't leave it in there. I took it out. There was 1 minute and 21 seconds left on the machine when I popped the seal on it. I didn't want a bunch of those bubbles to transfer over into our piece here. So now I'm just basically going to dome this turtle. Just kind of putting that resin in there. Making sure I get it on the arms and the fins. Okay, now I'm going to let it situate itself on there. Let it level out. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and place our inlays down. And now the turtle. Okay. Oh, I forgot to put some on the little bears. I don't know if I have enough. Just do it that way. Make our bears sparkly too. Our little cubs. Now, the little baby ones was just for fun. Alright, I'll meet you back when it's time to demold them, and I will have a look-see at them. I put a fresh pair of gloves on. Would y'all like to demold my earrings with me? This was extra resin that I had, and I just grabbed some crazy colors and went with it. I think what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to take some of my leopard print foils here that I made on my Cricut. I don't know which color I'm going to use yet. And then here's a little crystal peace sign. I made this whole mold here. And there's a little earring. Some of the blue got in that white. I don't like that. Nope. I forgot to clean the edges of the mold. Oh, Tammy Lynn. And this one doesn't look that bad. Well, I'll have to redo those. They're still a little soft. And I had to put the center in there already. See, isn't that pretty? I put the silver down for the center. I love this earring mold. These earrings are so cute. I need to do just some cleanup on that one. But what do you think about these? Think they're pretty? I didn't know how those two colors would look together. Okay, that's all I have, my friends. I will meet you back when our inlays have cured on top of our pieces here. Alrighty, y'all ready to take our inlays off? Let's go ahead and get these. So our big bear will match our little bears. Okay, I'm going to keep this inlay because it's a really nice inlay that we made. So I'm going to keep that. And let's demold them and take a look at them. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. We got a few bubbles in that one. I think we could fill that in with some UV resin though. That's pretty. Let me get you down. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. I absolutely love it. It's very smooth to the touch because we used an inlay. And you get all of that sparkle. Every single bit of it. Isn't that so beautiful? Okay, now if I wasn't doing this as a test piece, what I would have done to make this a necklace is what I did on this one right here. I put one of my hole makers on the other side and made 2 holes so you could slip the necklace through it and make it, you know, sit level on your neck and not like that. But since these were just test pieces, I didn't do it. Now I can drill a hole right here if I want to make this a necklace, which is what I'm probably going to do because it turned out so beautiful. I'm just going to drill a hole through it and make it a set because I love how it turned out. Okay, let's get the inlays off of these. See how they turned out. They overlapped each other a little. Let's get the big one off. Wow, look at that. That's a nice inlay. Very nice inlay. Let's take them out and see what they look like. We got a little cleanup to do. Isn't that beautiful? So beautiful. And here's our 2 smaller ones. Of course, they've got some cleanup on them as well. I had a lot of cleanup to do on this turtle right here. And it really messed it up because I kept having to, you know, go on the edges and clean it up. So what that done was it left it a little bit rough. And you can't dome this because if you dome it, it's going to take your glass effect away. So you're left with it. So I'm going to try to salvage it. Maybe put some type of resin buffer on it because I have some of that. And buff it out a little bit that way. But what I would suggest so that that doesn't happen is when you have it in here like this, and then we put the 1 hour promise epoxy on it, and then we put the crushed glass and laid the silicone. When you put that 1 hour promise epoxy on there, do not put it thick. Brush it very, very lightly. Do not put a thick layer of resin down. And then that's going to help you out a lot. And I did. I laid it on thick. I did. So that would be the only thing I would suggest you do different if you're going to do it this way. But it turned out beautiful. It really did. Very stunning pieces here. A very pretty jewelry set. See where the 2 inlays overlapped each other. See there in the center? And it really, it adds a little bit of, what am I trying to say? It just adds a flair to them, I think. I think it makes them just different and pretty. And you wouldn't know that that's what I done. If you don't make resin, you wouldn't know. And I don't think it's ugly. So, I don't know. I may keep it as a set. We'll see. I'll see how I can buff it out and if it's going to look nice. I forgot to show you how I make my little bear into a necklace. You could hang it from here and wear it like that, but I'd use one of littlewindows.com's hole makers, and I place one right here, and then I run my necklace through here and back through there, and then it sets like that on my neck. And who created these little nifty hole makers is Fran over at littlewindows.com. Did you know that? If you see these around on Amazon, they didn't come up with this. Fran did over at littlewindows.com, and that's who I like to support when I purchase these. I've purchased 2 of them already, and I'm thinking about getting me 2 more sets because they're very, very useful. And I like to support the creator of things, and that would be Fran from littlewindows.com on these nifty little hole makers. Let's talk about what we learned and what I'm going to take from this walking away today. I did enjoy doing this experiment. I did, and I did it for you. There were some things that I needed to explain using the crushed glass, and I hope that I did that well in this video. I have been working with this crushed glass quite a bit lately, and I've been learning a lot of things about it. But I am not going to be able to make my decision today, my friends. Sadly, I'm just not. Let me walk you through some of the things I did learn that I will share with you, and you can move forward in whatever way you would like to. Okay, when I made the inlay using this right here, what happened is we did get a thick, nice inlay. And midway through the experiment, I was rooting for this inlay. I was like, yes, that's going to work. That's going to be the one. And then towards the end of the experiment, when I started pulling all the inlays off, not so much. Let me tell you why. When I placed this inlay on this turtle on top of that epoxy, it weighs a little bit more than this inlay right here. And what that caused was the resin to push out a little bit off of the edges. It didn't break the surface tension, but it made a lip that you're going to have to clean up. And then that, almost made me tear my piece up because of all the cleanup I had to do, because you cannot dome this. If you dome it, you're going to lose your glass effect that you just placed on there. So I'm just not rooting for the thick inlay, although that's what we were going for, wasn't it? I don't think it's really going to be the option moving forward, though. But what I did like about this tiny inlay was it was almost like air placing it over the epoxy resin. And it did not seep out. It wasn't heavy enough to weigh the resin down to push it out. It just laid like a blanket right over that resin. So that's what I learned from this. Now, the reason I'm not going to make my decision on it today is because I would like to try the Let's Resin's 30A silicone and do one more test to make my decision moving forward and how I'm going to make my inlays with this crushed glass for my pieces. Because I am going to incorporate this into my resin art pieces because it's stunning. It's beautiful. It leaves a very beautiful lasting effect on your resin art piece. It's just gorgeous. And this right here, I just don't know what to say about it. That's the one that we placed the silicone. I poured the silicone onto the heart, and then I poured the crushed glass over it. And I just kept pouring it on there and pouring it on there. And then we got this inlay right here. I'm going to use it to see what happens. And we'll do it together. So that was interesting right there. And I would, if you would like to try it, yes, by all means, give it a try. See what you think. But if you want to wait on me to use the inlay before you decide to try it, then you can. We'll use it here soon. I hope this helped someone else out. I did this experiment for you, And I hope it will save someone some money and time down the road, or help answer some questions that any of you may have had about the crushed glass. If you have any more comments or any more experiments you'd like to see me do, drop them in the comment section below and I will pick one of them. And it's about that time, my friends, for a sweet goodbye. And I will see you in the next video. God bless you. Goodbye, my friends, and have a wonderful weekend.